This should be played at high volume.
Welcome to Outta Pocket. Here's your host, Michael Davis.
Welcome to Outta Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM as part of your TGI Friday lineup. We have a special show in store for you today. Before I introduce my guest, there was some news yesterday that broke regarding Bray Wyatt, his tragic passing. So we're dedicating the show in his memory. Matt Cosgrove, Insider Matt, will be on to relive some of Bray's moments in his career. We'll also talk about All In. Carsen Williams, you Carsonites are going to get to see your guy. He's going to come in the show and talk some Jonathan Taylor, talk about the 49ers quarterback situation. But right now, for TGI Friday lineup, we are welcoming back somebody you see a lot on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel, which you should go subscribe. Thanks for helping us hit 900 this past week. But you'll see him on Embrace Debate. He's also a part of the Carolina Cat Chronicles. He even had a whole article and news story dedicated to him a couple weeks ago. It's Cody Lachney. Cody, you're no stranger to the show, but it's great to have you back. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, Michael, I'm doing well, man. Panther football is right around the corner. Happy to be back on the show with you, and happy to answer your questions here today, man. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Now, I'm not going to let Monty hear this if he ever decides to come on Out Pocket or whatever. But I'm always taking your side on Embrace.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, good taste. That's why.
Yeah, I saw your tweet. You're like, yeah, somebody said something outlandish, but it wasn't me, bud.
Yeah, man. We have fun.
Man, you guys do a great job. Embrace Debate, part of the Keep Pound Podcast Network. I do something with Ryan on there. And Ryan and I have went back and forth, particularly on this past week's episode, about Carolina's decision to play their starters in this preseason finale against Detroit. Cody, I take the side of anything can happen. It's almost regular season time. Like, I know you want to get your offense going and everything, but does the risk outweigh the reward in this situation?
Listen, man, if I was the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, I would never play my starters in the preseason, man. I really wouldn't. I understand the idea that you want your players to be, prepared and already have been under center and have made some meaningful snaps by the time the season rolls around. But if you look at recently for the Carolina Panthers, we have 3 offensive players that are already on the injury reports right now that we're kind of, wondering what their status is going to be. I understand Bryce is a rookie and you want to get him some experience, but I personally just think that if you're going to have him as your starting quarterback for the season, I wouldn't even chance putting him out there at all, especially knowing that you don't necessarily have your offensive line formation 100% set up right now. We still don't know who the right guard is going to be. And to me, that's a little bit concerning. I don't necessarily want to throw Bryce out there. We are going to see Bryce against Detroit. I do not know for how long. I'm assuming they're going to play that by ear. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of it, Michael. I believe what you said. Anything can happen. And I would rather be a little bit rusty to start the season and be better prepared in November, December, rather than lose all your star players potentially before the season even starts.
And you already mentioned it. The offensive line's a concern. That makes me even more hesitant to put the guy that I trade up to go get in harm's way in that preseason finale against Detroit, because Detroit has a chip on their shoulder. Their defense was bad last year, and they will not hesitate to come after Bryce Young and wreak havoc in that backfield, dude. And I'm a Cowboys fan. I got my Cowboys stuff behind there. I just saw 2 rookies tear their ACL last week. Season over. Like, you just can't do this. And it really concerns me that some fans are okay with this. it really concerns me that they're really risking like their entire season. Because correct me if I'm wrong, this is the year they could actually win the division and make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, right now this division is wide open. I mean, every division has a brand new starting quarterback. Derek Carr is new for the Saints. We really don't know what Desmond Ridder is going to be down there in Atlanta. And Baker Mayfield, who we're a little bit too familiar with, is starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So in years like this, when you have so much turnaround, you want to be able to capitalize on moments like this. And, I understand that we're kind of wanting – I mean, to be honest, it's kind of confusing to me because we're running this vanilla offense, trying not to show New Orleans and Atlanta our playbook for the first 2 games of the year. Yet they really pretend like, preseason doesn't matter. So I don't know, man. It's been kind of confusing to me. The past 2 preseason performances have not been very well. They did not look very good. So I don't know what the goal is necessarily. But yeah, I mean, I would rather just err on the side of caution and have all of our best players be ready to come out and grab 2 big W's in the division, week 1 and week 2.
And they're not even showing the whole playbook in preseason. It's not like
Right.
the coaching's given their like maximum effort or maximum like, hey, we're out here to win and play our best ball. They're holding stuff back. And so it just doesn't make sense, especially, Cody, when you look at the injuries they've already sustained. Miles Sanders says he's going to be available week 1 against the Falcons in Atlanta for the regular season opener. But particularly in the receiver room, Derek Wright injured. Terrace Marshall expected to miss a few weeks. Damiere Byrd placed on injured reserve with a hamstring issue. Laviska Shenault, concussion protocol. DJ Chark dealing with a hamstring injury. Like these injuries are already piling up. And particularly with this receiver room, you know how dangerous Twitter is. And everybody's like bringing their whole solution of like, let's go trade for one of the biggest wide receiver names. Like, let's go trade for Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, or let's go trade for DeAndre Hopkins, even though we had a chance to sign him a few weeks ago. Like, all this stuff comes out. Are you concerned about the wide receiver room with all these injuries? And are you one of these Twitter guys who are like, let's go trade for AJ Brown or something?
Well, I mean, I definitely don't love it. I mean, the fact that Laviska Shenault, Terrace Marshall Jr., and now DJ Chark, who, according to all the, beat reporters, had a great preseason and a great training camp. And he was really starting to look like he might have number 1 wide receiver potential for the Panthers this year. I don't love it. I mean, obviously, I wish that we were healthy. I mean, what fan doesn't? But really, right now, no other team is trading one of their high-end premier wide receivers anyway. So that's not even logical. I mean, I would love to have another top flight wide receiver, but that's not happening, man. The time for that has already come and gone. And now you really just have to roll with the guys that you have around. And that's going to be Adam Thielen. That's going to be even Shi Smith, which I'm sure not a lot of people love that. But, yeah, I mean, Hayden Hurst at tight end, that's going to be another option for us. Miles Sanders, even catching passes. So, yeah, I mean, thankfully, Bryce Young, his best trait as a quarterback is his ability to distribute the football to a lot of different options. And as of right now, it appears that's what he's going to have to do to start his career.
Yeah, and as you started bringing up some of the guys who can make an impact, I think this is a perfect time for Jonathan Mingo to show what he can do, right? Like Adam Thielen, he's past the point of being a team's number 1 option. Justin Jefferson shined up in Minnesota to where they're like, okay, we don't really need Adam Thielen anymore. And then Thielen comes into a really good situation in Carolina, and they draft Jonathan Mingo in the 2nd round. Cody, I'm really high on Mingo and his ability. I don't think they necessarily need to go out and get a veteran wide receiver, even while like the injuries are piling up.
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo has so much potential. Coming out of the draft, so many people compared him to A.J. Brown. He's a big, strong wide receiver. He can high point the football, and he's fast too. So, I mean, I love the skill set. I know that the Panthers did too. And the fact that him and Bryce are rookies right now means that they can grow together, that they can form a chemistry together, and being, on the same timing, knowing when to hook up on routes, and just having that offense down pack with one another, that's going to be huge for each other's development, them being able to go through that process together. I agree with you. I'm very happy to see what the young man is capable of doing. And, after these injuries that you alluded to, it's looking like his role in the offense is probably going to be thrusted even further forward than maybe even anyone intended it to be at this point.
And this is a place where he can shine. And in the next segment, we're going to talk with Carsen and his Carsen Knights about the situation with Trey Lance and the 49ers quarterback, Jonathan Taylor, and the situation with the Colts. But I wanted to pose you a question because it's so easy as a sports fan to look back at things in hindsight. And I wanted to run a couple scenarios by you. One of them is the Panthers went out and signed Miles Sanders, but they probably didn't know Jonathan Taylor was going to be shopped around this week and be on a new team as early as Tuesday of next week. So in hindsight, would you rather have paid and played Miles Sanders, the contract you guys gave him in the offseason, or would you have rather waited and trade for Jonathan Taylor right before week 1 and pay him probably number 1 running back money?
Michael, you might think I'm insane, but Miles Sanders, hands down.
Really?
Call me an old curmudgeon. I am one of those people that just believes that you do not overpay at the running back position. Not only would you be giving up future draft capital to go and get Jonathan Taylor, but you're going to have to pay him, close to $20 million. Yeah, I'm just not interested, man. Every year, there's always a late round running back or even an undrafted running back that comes into the NFL and rushes for almost 1,000 yards. Behind a good Eagles offensive line last year, Miles Sanders rushed for almost 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. I don't know what more kind of production you want than that. It's not to say that Taylor isn't an incredibly talented player. He most certainly is. But I just don't believe that if you have a dominant run-blocking offensive line, that you even need to have a premier talent at the running back position. Miles Sanders is far cheaper and capable of giving you every bit of production that you would want out of that position in this offense. I am fine with Miles Sanders and that deal, and I'm pumped to see what he's able to do this year.
And he says that even with the highest lucrative running back deal from the offseason, but Jonathan Taylor's is going to be upwards of $20 million, which is what you'd pay a top receiver like a Justin Jefferson or a Tyreek Hill, one of those guys.
Yes. Yeah. Not for me, man. Nope. I think I'll pass.
So he's sticking with Miles Sanders. And so let's see if you stick with your quarterback, because would you rather, in hindsight, go through with the trade to trade up for Bryce Young at number 1 overall and also in doing that, give up DJ Moore? Or would you have waited and trade for Trey Lance right now for potentially less, giving up less for Trey Lance?
Yeah, I still have to say Bryce Young. I understand that Trey Lance is the more physically gifted just because he's bigger and stronger. But Trey Lance has played such a little amount of football. He only had that one breakout season at North Dakota State. Then COVID hit. Then he redshirted a year. Then he's been hurt and injured all last year. Simply put, the man has not played a lot of football. So you really don't even know what kind of player you're getting in Trey Lance. Time changes very fast. A player who was once upon a time the 3rd pick in the draft is now going to be bouncing around the NFL. And to be honest, I don't know what that means for Trey. But I mean, knowing that we gave up Christian McCaffrey, gave up DJ Moore for Bryce Young, I'm a believer in the talent of what Bryce is able to do distributing the football. He has an elite quarterback mindset. And I believe that's what the Panthers needed under center after so many years now of mediocrity at the quarterback position. I'm happy that the Panthers did what they did and moved up to number 1 to draft Bryce Young.
Okay, so I want Twitter to understand this, okay, before we get into a commercial break. You don't always need the name that is floating around social media. You guys are in a good position with Miles Sanders. You guys are in a great position with Bryce Young. And let's be honest, Trey Lance is probably the second most successful quarterback come out of North Dakota State, only behind the legendary, infamous Carsen Williams. Like, come on now. Dude, Cody, I need to get you out of here because after the commercial break, I'm ready to roast Trey Lance with Carsen. Hopefully he agrees with me. But Cody, real quick, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, find me on Twitter right there next to my face at Cody Lachney, CodyLac. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. for the C3 Panthers podcast, and every Friday night at 7 p.m. for the C3 Friday Free for All, where we let every fan who wants to come in and talk about the Panthers do just that. You can join the show via StreamYard, and we have a great time talking Panther football. And now that the season is starting up, 30 minutes after every game, we do our live post-game show to react to all the news and the football action of the day and the Carolina Panthers. So come and check us out, man. C3.
That's exciting. Hopefully don't do that after a loss. It's going to be a lot of frustration.
Oh, man.
But
we've done too many of those for sure.
Too many. I'm okay if you guys lose to Dallas and you can win your rest of your games.
Maybe you are. I'm not.
But yeah, Cody, great time with you. Again, when we come back, we'll welcome Carsen in. We'll trash Trey Lance, and we'll figure out where Jonathan Taylor's ending up here in the next week or so. Cody, thank you so much. And we'll be back on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio and WWBG 1470 AM right after the break. Welcome back to Out of Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM as part of your TGI Friday lineup at 3 p.m. our new time. I think this is second or third week we've done 3 o'clock. We had our...
I think it's the second.
I think it is our second. Thank you so much to Cody Lachney from hopping in that first segment, talking some Carolina Panther football. You can see more of his stuff on the Keep Pound Podcast Network's Embrace Debate. You can see more of his stuff from the Carolina Cat Chronicles. Awesome guy. Loved having him back on the show. But then we got to show some Carsenites some love. We got Carsen Williams in on the show. Carsen, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. I'm just excited to talk some football. I am a little sick. I got a little sinus infection, so bear with me there. But yeah, let's get this thing done.
Dude, it's exciting. Hope you get to feeling better. Can't have Carsen down for the count too long. But we do want to talk some NFL right now. We focus a little bit on the Panthers first segment, and now we get to hear some really hot topics in the NFL. Now, one of the guys I've been really critical of on this show before is somebody I feel like hasn't proven much, Trey Lance. I don't think Trey Lance has proven a lot. And now it was announced that Brock Purdy's the starter, but Trey Lance isn't even the backup. It's Sam Darnold. Trey Lance is a third string on the depth chart right now. They're in limbo about what they're going to do with the former, third overall pick not too long ago. I just want to hear your thoughts because based on that rumor, Brock Purdy, who was like a 6th, 7th round draft pick, you got Trey Lance, you got Sam Darnold, who both were very high draft picks in their respective classes. Brock Purdy beats them out. Are you comfortable with that decision for San Fran? And there's the insiders calling Carsen with the inside scoop. Tell us what they said.
Yeah. So, no, it's Brock Purdy was the obvious choice. I mean, he led the 49ers to the NFC Championship last year in his first year. He had almost 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and he only played 9 games. I mean, I think that he had like an underrated season, even though like everybody loves him, and because he's an underdog and it's hard not to root for the underdog. But I think Trey Lance is like bordering bust territory. Like if he goes 2 more years, even maybe 1 more year, and he at least has an opportunity and he doesn't show anything for it, like he's a bust. He's only played 8 games. It's his 3rd year in the league. But like he hasn't shown anything while he's been here. And like you said, he's the 3rd overall pick. So like you get that opportunity early. He's got completion accuracy issues, only 49% last year. So, and when Sam Darnold is above you in the depth chart, like, what are you showing these coaches? Sam Darnold is not a good quarterback. And if he's above you, that really says something about Trey Lance. So I'm curious how he's going to progress. But let's face it, man, he is on the cusp of being a bust.
Dude, I don't know if he's not already there. And the reason I say that is, yeah, Sam Darnold is the 2nd string quarterback.
Yeah.
And the 49ers put everything they had. They're like, oh, we can't commit to Jimmy Garoppolo because, well, we have Trey Lance. Trey Lance is here. We picked him 3rd overall. It was just 2 years ago. He's here in his 3rd year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's either been hurt or he's just been bad when he's been on the field.
Right.
Like you mentioned, like what, 48% completion
40,
percentage
it was like
last year?
48.7 or something. And he's only 55 for his whole career. Like,
dude,
it's
what?
not
Oh my gosh.
He really is a train wreck. And I feel bad for the 49ers. And luckily, like their whole thing is defense and they run a pretty run heavy offense. But like you still want to have a quarterback back there. And Trey Lance right now is not capable of being that guy. Brock Purdy, I think, isn't in the upper echelon of quarterbacks, but like he's not a bad one by any means. He's not Sam Darnold or Trey Lance. I don't know if Brock will be able to carry them to a Super Bowl. I mean, he got them to the NFC Championship last year. So like, I don't know. I want to see Brock Purdy's development because I think like he has opportunity to be a top 10 quarterback in the league. Not right now, but I think he can get there.
Dude, we were debating on the top 10 quarterbacks last week on Out Pocket's 1 year anniversary / first birthday episode. I hate people saying that Dak wasn't a top 10 quarterback. Dude,
that's great. He's a top 10.
Dude, I think every place you look, from players, coaches, execs, Dak's in that top 10 list. That's undebatable. Like it's almost unanimous with that. But
I want to see how he does this year with I mean, I know that this isn't the Stars and Spikes with you and Esteban, but I want to see how he does this year because he threw a record high number of interceptions. What was it? How many? Like 13, 14?
It was like 15.
Yeah, like more. And I know he said that like he is like really going to cut down on it. Everybody says that. So like I want to see it first. I do think that he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. I think he's probably hovering around 8 to 10 right now. You're probably higher on him than I am.
So, I mean, I think 7 is a pretty solid number right now. And that is taking it back from, okay, not a lot of postseason success, but everything. Still think Justin Herbert's overrated.
But you're not saying he's worse than Dak though, right?
I don't know. Like everything we hate Dak for, Herbert does. And it's pretty ridiculous.
I don't know. There's something about just watching Justin Herbert, the electricity. I call it the Kobe effect. Maybe that might get some people mad at me, but Kobe, you watch him on the court and he's like the greatest player you've ever seen, and then you like delve into his stats and his efficiency is not all that well, and his win percentage isn't all that well, or his win shares. And Justin Herbert is kind of that same guy. Like you watch him and like he's this incredible deep ball threat, super electric. He's big, he's strong. But yeah, he has some accuracy issues. So yeah, I think it's the Kobe effect with that.
Okay.
Kind of same thing with Carmelo Anthony. I know that's not what we're getting into right now, but electrifying player, so fun to watch. Everybody loves Carmelo's little jab step, but it never contributed to anything, and that's why he's ringless.
That's why Herbert might. And it's like the team that surrounds Herbert. That's like, okay, the team that surrounds Dak. Dak lost, his top two receiving weapons last year, one to injury, one to a bad trade that the front office did with the Cleveland Browns. And then you turn around and you look at what Trey Lance had surrounding him. Trey Lance has the best team surrounding him, period.
Yeah.
He has the best coach. He has the best situation, best offense, best defense. You have Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel.
Yep.
Like, at least in Sam Darnold's defense, they were both third overall picks. Sam Darnold had the Jets.
Right.
Not a lot there. He had Carolina. Not a lot there. Both those teams have rebuilt since Sam Darnold was there. This is the first ideal situation Sam Darnold's been in. And Trey Lance got drafted into this situation, yet he hasn't produced anything. And so, Carsen, I don't know of a team. Is there a team that you could see trading for Trey Lance and being like, what the heck? What do we have to lose?
No, not really. I mean, if you're the backup to Sam Darnold, I mean, what quarterback in the league are you better than? Baker Mayfield? Like,
I was about to say Tampa, maybe.
Tampa might be the only place willing to give him a chance because I don't think he's a better quarterback than anybody else in the league. I don't see him going to any team, regardless of what the trade deal is, and helping them and making them better than they were, other than maybe Tampa, and that's still a big maybe. I mean, Baker Mayfield came in and showed some flashes, like his first year he was a decent quarterback. Trey Lance hasn't done that. I would say Trey Lance is worse than Baker Mayfield. So I don't know who would want him.
I don't even know if that's out of pocket because I paid on both those quarterbacks this year, but we'll have to see if a team like Tampa, New England,
maybe
Atlanta, if they aren't bought into Desmond Ridder, there's 2 or 3 teams. Heck, send them to the Packers.
Don't send him to the Packers. No, I'm good. I'm happy. I do not want Trey Lance. I don't want anybody who's sitting behind Sam Darnold to come throw the football for Green Bay.
Now, one player that is seeking a trade is Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. The Colts organization is refusing to pay him, one of the better running backs in the NFL, and they're allowing him to explore a trade before Tuesday. That's the day. And so Carsen, by this time next week for Out of Pocket, Jonathan Taylor could be on a completely different team. Is it smart for the Colts to explore trade options for Jonathan Taylor? Or should they just pay him?
Well, they should pay him. He's one of the best running backs in the league. My problem is they can't have it both ways. And this is my big problem with It's Just Business, they don't want to pay him, but then they want trade value that actually matches his value, Jonathan Taylor is one of the best running backs in the league. He wants his bag, the bag that he deserves, and they're saying, no, we're going to pay you at a lower value than you're really worth, but we're going to trade you for what value you have. So you can't have it both ways. Either pay him what he's worth or trade him for less than what he's worth. And it really, Jonathan Taylor is in a terrible situation because it's either you have less than a week now to find a trade offer, or you're back on this team you don't want to be on, and then they're just going to have to suffer through a year. And I think that's probably what's going to end up happening is he's just going to have to suffer through another year with the Colts, and then he'll go wherever he wants. And he probably will get paid not as much as his value again, because running backs are the least valued piece in NFL today.
Dude, it's insane. Like, especially bringing in a rookie quarterback who's going to struggle, and you're already upset his number one option on offense. Like,
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson is stepping into a situation where he's going to fail, and he's going to fail hard if the Colts are just very like they're just hoarding their money.
That's exactly what it is. It's penny pinching, and it's going to make Anthony Richardson struggle, who I already think needs to have a good season if he's going to reach his potential. His potential is so insanely high, but he's being set up to fail. You know, like I could see him taking like a Geno Smith route where, you know, he's bad at his beginning because he's not in the situation he needs to succeed. And then once he gets that situation, he reaches at least partial potential, you know? Because the Colts are just it's like they're trying to make everybody mad at them. It's like they're trying to lose and trying to set themselves up for failure. Maybe they're looking for a high draft pick. I don't know, but I hate what they're doing.
And dude, like, think about this. The Jaguars have been, you know, historically bad. Houston, Texas have been historically bad. The Colts were the longest drought winning AFC South champion. Like, all three division rivals have won that crown since they have.
And then as soon
Andrew
as they
Luck, I think.
Right. And then as soon as they get a good thing going, they just throw it away. Like it
Literally.
I don't know what's going through their mind. I really have no clue. At least like trade him and try to get something back for him, or pay him his money, you know? And they're trying to get a first round pick, which is what I'm saying. Maybe they're still like going into rebuild mode, even though I think they have a pretty good situation right now. I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah. And Carson, we got to get out here in the commercial break. Real quick, do you think of a team that would trade for Jonathan Taylor to keep our eye out on?
I hope the Dolphins trade for him. I hope that they trade for him for a second. And forgive me if I'm mispronouncing his name, but Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert. I think that a 2024 second and Raheem Mostert could get Jonathan Taylor. And if that happens and Tua can stay healthy, the Dolphins might be my favorite to get out of their division, even against – I mean, that would be a stacked division. It's already a stacked division. You got the Bills. You got the Jets. The Dolphins, if they get Jonathan Taylor, they might jump into the favorite for the division.
Dude, look out for Miami. Look out for Buffalo. Their running back just went down, season-ending injury, non-football related, and so they need somebody behind Josh Allen who can run the ball.
If they get Jonathan Taylor, it's over for the league. Just go ahead and give them their trophy. Like
Josh Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Stephon Diggs.
Gosh.
What a trio.
And one of the a top 5 defense in the league. Oh my gosh, yeah. That would be disgusting.
They were really good last year defense wise.
I kind of want to see that.
I'm still taking the Jets.
Just as a football
taking the Jets
fan,
to win that division.
Even if they get Jonathan Taylor?
I don't know. Well, that could be tough. I may need a week to think on that.
If Jonathan Taylor goes to any of the – I mean, he's not going to go to the Jets, but whoever he went to in that division would win that division aside from the Patriots.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I think I'm higher on Jonathan Taylor. I'm glad I got him in fantasy football. He's about to run you out of the gym week 1, Mike.
Not a chance. Not a chance. I'm going to beat this guy in fantasy football.
Yeah, he thinks he will. He thinks so.
I will. We got to get into a break before Carson gets kicked off the show, period. Just kidding, Carson Knight. When we come back, we're going to welcome in insider Matt Cosgrove into the show, break down AEW's All-In event, and talk about the tragic news that happened yesterday surrounding Bray Wyatt. When we come back on Out Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM as part of your TGI Friday lineup. Welcome back to Out Pocket with Michael Davis on Tobacco Road Sports Radio, TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, and WWBG 1470 AM as part of your TGI Friday lineup. We are so thankful for Cody and Carsen for stopping in. And you guys have noticed throughout the show, I've been wearing a Hawaiian shirt, been wearing a wrestling shirt, and that's because of the unfortunate, tragic thing that happened yesterday, where Bray Wyatt, former WWE superstar, passed away at age 36. And I'd already scheduled a segment with Matt Cosgrove talking about AEW's All In, and we'll cover that as well. But Matt, first off, thank you for joining us, and this is going to be a really tough segment to open.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on. Happy birthday again, happy 1 year birthday. But yeah, man, I hate to start it off under these circumstances. We're going to talk about that big All-In pay-per-view coming up, and what could happen and the successes with it. But like you said, the unfortunate news about Bray Wyatt, is just shocking to say the least. So.
Yeah, and if you guys can tell, I know my lighting. I'm getting better with my lighting. You're just adding a layer. Behind me is the Firefly Funhouse with John Cena. My parents gifted it to me for Christmas because they knew how much I loved Bray and just his contribution to the business. Matt, is there a moment that sticks out to you for Bray?
Oh, there's several, and just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, Bray Wyatt's one of those guys. I think the Wyatt family in general is something that we'll never see duplicated again, or it'd be hard to replicate. That's one of one. Bray Wyatt, especially one of one. Just you could tell he was talented every time he touched the microphone. When he was in the ring, he could work. He reminded me of Boss Man a little bit. He's a big dude who could fly around and hit hard. But I remember a few moments. Like first when they showed up, I was like, this is new to me because I wasn't watching NXT at the time, and so I was like, this is fresh. I was like, this is awesome. Like, cool. What is this? When they fought the Shield, that's one of the best six-man matches I've ever seen in my life. Instantly, when I think of the Bray Wyatt, that's one of the matches that comes to mind. I also think about his match with John Cena. I think at Payback was really good too. And for me personally, though, when I think of Bray Wyatt, I saw him live a few times, but one time in particular, it was in Hartford, Connecticut, June, I think 2014, June 30th, I think 2014, and the Miz had surprise returned, and no one knew the Miz was coming back. So like, oh, great! Like the Miz starts to cut a promo, and then the lights go out, and then Jericho returned and came out, and like the whole place is going nuts, right? And so Jericho hits the code breaker on the Miz, and the place is going bananas. And he goes, I've been waiting a long time to say this. He goes, welcome to Raw is, and then it was like, and then the lights cut, and the whole place was like, are you kidding me right now? And the lights cut back on, and the Wyatt family was in the ring, and that stands out a lot to me. So that's one of my favorite Bray Wyatt moments. Unfortunate what happened, with like the complications from COVID. It was confirmed through an outlet that COVID had restarted some like heart ailments with him, and then he tragically had a heart attack at age 36. So I mean, it's horrible. He had a lot of promise, and it's really unfortunate because he was a unique guy. I still think he should have been the guy that beat the Undertaker's streak as well, but that's a whole nother thing. But
yeah, that would have been awesome for his career. But one of the more memorable things was his rivalry with John Cena at WrestleMania 30. Like, dude, the amount of times there was like this weird website called YouTube Repeater, and all you had to do was like put the YouTube link and then add repeater between YouTube and .com, and it would play the same video. I did that with the Bray Wyatt and John Cena promotional video. Dude, like, and I think the big thing here is like, it's so hard to find words, but Bray Wyatt made you feel something. Like whenever he was talking on the microphone in the matches, like sometimes you didn't know what it was doing because it was so different, but it made
Just
you
walking
feel a
with the
certain way.
lantern. Just walking with the lantern. Like at the beginning, like Bray Wyatt is great. Like the beginning Bray Wyatt stuff is something that we will never see again. And like to your point, just him coming out with like dun, 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 music and just the lantern, like you just were like, oh dude, like is something gonna happen to me? Like I'm in the middle of a swamp right now. Like what? It's it was insane. You're right. Like whatever he did, it was untouched. Like the Scarecrows when he came to the ring to fight the Undertaker, in San Francisco, stuff like that. It was nuts. It unfortunate, really. Out of nowhere, I knew he was dealing with some stuff, but not that. So it was just really bad, really terrible week for pro wrestling. Well, what was supposed to be a good week is like filled with a bunch of loss. So
Yeah. Bray Wyatt passed away yesterday. Terry Funk a couple of days ago.
the day before, yeah.
Yeah. I met Terry Funk when I was little. Climbed under his autograph table and popped up, passed the line. Terry didn't care. We took a picture. It's somewhere.
It's awesome, man.
Dude, like, yeah, it's a really tough week. It's a really tough segment to record. One of my tougher segments that I've had to record for Out of Pocket. But we're going in this TGI Friday on Out of Pocket with the biggest pro wrestling event. Matt and I always go back and forth on text messages. And I don't know if he's like mad at me or trying to prove a point or if he's just pulling my leg half the time. But I will go ahead and admit none of my takes are out of pocket. I always expected All In to break this historic number because I can see the future. Ain't that right, Matt?
I think you got some words confused there. I think, but yeah, it's a good thing that this happened. I said early on, I think when they announced Wembley, I was like, they're gonna fill it. It's gonna happen. And some people who may have an out of pocket show told me 45,000 tickets at best would be what was it? An overreach? I think the word was.
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know what you're referencing. I have no recollection of any conversation that happened.
Yeah, it's weird because I remember when the tickets went on sale, instantly it went right past 45,000, and I can't remember the guy's name right now, but I know I sent him a message immediately and was like, yeah, so.
Well, you need to go text that guy and say, yo, I was right kind of thing, because you deserve to be told you were right. And dude, looking at this card for All In, there are a lot of big matches. Is there one that sticks out to you that you're like, I am really excited to see this match come to fruition in front of AEW's largest crowd ever at Wembley Stadium?
The largest wrestling crowd ever.
It's insane.
And they're the first international show. I get it. Like they went overseas. They did it. This is huge because no one expected it. Another thing, like they have 90,000 pre-bought pay-per-views already for this. So it's not like someone's just going to put it on a whim on a Sunday afternoon. Like this is appointment television. What I'm excited for are a few things. That coffin match, tag team match is going to be wild. Like, I don't know if you watched Dynamite.
Yeah.
Christian Cage.
Yeah, Christian getting subbed in for AR Fox.
So I do like if with that real quick, we'll touch on it. AR Fox ran out on Mogul Embassy 2 weeks ago when Sting came back. No one is bringing that up. He ran out and hit in the crowd. So it's not. Was it a little quick? This ending it, yeah, but there was progression to it, and we don't know if this is a trap either. We'll see how it goes on Sunday. I'm excited for that. I think Swerve Strickland's in a huge spot, and he deserves it. He gets to fight Sting in front of 80,000 people. Like, it's going to be that match is going to be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see how the Stadium Stampede goes. The obvious, Adam Cole and MJF. But just like the little, I'm excited for like smaller things too. I think it's going to be really awesome to hear 80,000 people sing Chris Jericho to the ring with his band. I think that's going to be a sweet moment. I don't know. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this just as like a wrestling fan. I was excited, but then that go home show, there's something about it. You could tell that, everyone knows there's a lot on the line with this and they're going to bring their best. And I left watching that show. Like, I texted you, I was like, I have not been this excited for a wrestling pay-per-view since I can't remember. Like, yeah, I get excited when they come out, but this one, I'm like, here we go, because I'm expecting it to be good. And the card's great. I don't think Tony Khan's going to lay a dud. He knows what's coming right now. Like, he knows everybody is going to be watching him, and I think I'm just going to enjoy it as it comes. Will there be some flat stuff? Probably, but I also think there's going to be a lot of good to outweigh it. So
Yeah, and when you texted me that, I was like, "Oh, what did I miss on Dynamite?" So I went back the next morning and watched it, and in my personal opinion, and this could be debated on, whatever, you can be wrong, no problem. This might have been the best go home episode for a pay-per-view that I've seen in a long time, if ever, because the intensity of everybody was like at that other level. The Will Ospreay, Chris Jericho stuff,
outstanding.
dude, like everything was at
It
another
was raw.
level.
It was emotional. Like, it looked like you were watching two grown men argue and take pot shots at each other.
You had the Adam Cole and MJF stuff backstage where they're reliving all this stuff, and then Renee calls Adam Cole out for being like, kind of like Two-Face. Like, there was so much added layers to that. Really proving that wrestling is in a boom period right now. WWE's doing good stuff. AEW is selling out Wembley Stadium. Just unreal stuff. And mentioned MJF, Adam Cole. That's the main event. But they're also the opener at the 0 hour. MJF and Adam Cole wrestling for the ROH tag titles against Aussie Open. I'm kind of confused why they're wrestling at All In the opener in the 0 hour. It's not even on the main card. And then coming out in the main event. Do you think there's something that's going to happen during that 0 hour match that intensifies their main event later on that evening?
Yeah, I think, excuse me. I think it's in, there's a few things I think it go, to your point or to your question. Yeah, I could see like an inadvertent super kick or something like that, or maybe like MJF maybe is faking an injury or preserving himself for the championship match. And then you can see that little friction there. Could see the Kingdom getting involved and costing them, because they tease the Kingdom's doing something at the end of this pay-per-view. And we're going to find out so either Cole's going back to the Kingdom or MJF is going to do is like, you guys forgot about the devil and here I am, and I am like worse than you guys thought I was. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. But in the same token, would it be bad business if you put the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships on MJF and Adam Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be good. You're going to put some more prestige to it. You're going to get more fans drawn from AEW to ROH. So it could go, it could go either way, really. I'm excited for it. Again, like, I like not knowing like what's going to happen, and you can kind of see sometimes with like how some storylines go, or like how some matches go, where you just kind of like, this will be great, but it's not going to surprise me when this happens. There are a few matches on this card where I'm like, MJF, Adam Cole, I have no idea like what to expect, and I love it. Same with the tag match. Young Bucks FTR, I have no idea what to expect with that. Like, I don't know the Elite.
FTR, like, I think FTR deserves the win there.
Right.
But man, dude, like, again, either way.
It could go either way. I get the like, oh well, it's their company kind of thing, and I like that the Young Bucks are leaning into that to get heel heat. They're both the same age, like around the same age, FTR and the Young Bucks. So like, they're going to be sticking around for a while. That one I cannot wait for. That is going to be nuts. Like so like, if the Bucks win the tag team titles, imagine the heat
For real. In Wembley Stadium.
Right. Heel Young Bucks, like, that's selling money. Or that's selling, like, you're going to make a ton of money off of that. That's going to be good. I'm ready for it. What matches, like, besides like the main event, are you excited for?
For me, I'm excited for FTR Young Bucks. I'm a big FTR fan. I was going to wear an FTR shirt
Yeah.
until I, obvious reasons, wanted to support Bray. The FTR one's good, dude. I really, really, really want to see Saraya win the women's world title.
Dude, the
in
pop
Wembley
would be
Stadium.
nuts. Okay, we've talked about this before on Out of Pocket.
Mhm.
Is it about wins or is it about making moments, like the WrestleMania moments
moments.
when you can run those clips back? Like, that is one, right? Like, Will Ospreay in front of 80,000 people is another one. Like, just looking at the card real quick, House of Black, that's a homecoming for Malachi Black. He's from the Netherlands. He's over there in Europe, so there's going to be some people riding for him over there. We're getting badass Billy Gunn showing up. Golden Elite versus Bullet Club Gold, like that. That'll be fun. We didn't even talk about Punk and Samoa Joe.
Dude,
Like,
for real. Like,
it's like
this is going to be a huge show. And we're against the hour. Like,
Yeah.
but rest assured, like, Drop the Mic has a whole hour. I haven't even decided how much to dedicate to Bray, how much to dedicate to All In, because both are going to deserve a whole hour
for
of
sure.
content. But yeah, we're up against it. Matt, thank you so much for sending that promo message last week for our birthday. Thanks for hopping in today. Really appreciate you. Guys, go follow Drop the Mic.
Buzzards.
Yeah, go follow the Buzzards. That's going to take my promotional right there. Go follow the Buzzards. Best wishes to Bray's family and all the fans that are hurting right now. And we will see you next week on Out of Pocket with Michael Davis at 3 p.m. as part of your TGI Friday lineup. Everyone have an amazing weekend.
See ya.